This conference will now be recorded.
John Ketchum, present.
Joe.
Bill McFarland, present.
Mary.
Mary Maslowski, present.
Robert.
Bob Doan, present.
Kathy.
Kathy Green, present.
Donna.
Donna Kalanick, present.
And David Nixon, present. Okay. Don, is there anybody for open session, for open? No. Okay. Jan, would you read the document again?
Yes.
Thank you.
Pursuant to Governor Baker's March 12, 2020 order suspending certain provisions of the Open Meeting Law, GL, Section C30A, Section 18, and the Governor's March 15, 2020 order imposing strict limitation on the number of people that may gather in one place, this meeting of the Town of Harwich Community Preservation Committee on Thursday, November 12, 2020 at 6:30 will be conducted via remote participation to the greatest extent possible. The specific information and general guidelines for the remote participation by members of the public and or parties with a right and or requirement to attend this meeting can be found on the Town of Harwich website. For this meeting, members of the public who wish to watch the meeting can do so in the following manner on Channel 18 or by watching the simulcast at Channel 18 website. No in-person attendance or members of the public will be permitted, but every effort will be made to ensure that the public can adequately access the proceedings in real time via technological means. In the event that we are unable to do so, despite best efforts, we will post on Town of Harwich website an audio or video recording transcript or other comprehensive record of proceedings as soon as possible after the meeting.
Thank you, Jan. Are there any, and there are no minutes?
Right, too late.
Okay, so moving on. Question. Oh, something I missed. Okay, so we're working on the application for the Brooks Museum Commission. And this is application HP4. Before I introduce David to make his presentation, I looked the application over, and there's going to be some changes made to the base page of the application. And that would be the applicant is going to be the Town of Harwich, because the Town of Harwich owns the property. Today I picked up the licensing agreements between the town and the commission. Information. So the only thing that is going to change is it will be the applicant is the Town of Harwich, project manager, and the project manager, after having a discussion with the ATA, he will take the project manager. My guess is it'll be the town engineer, but that's up to the ATA. So now that you all have that information, David, go ahead and make your presentation, and welcome.
Thank you. You should have the application in front of you. I'm going to refer you to the one-page project description and cost estimate. It's about 4 pages in. We've made good progress since July. We made virtually no progress before then. What happened in July is we were able to get names of structural engineers from the Cape Cod Commission. After seeing Sarah Korjeff's write-up, I contacted the top person on her list, which was John Wathney from Structures North Consulting Engineers of Salem, who had two things that we wanted. Extensive experience with historic buildings, and experience on Cape Cod. Mr. Wathney was able to visit us in mid-September, and he said, this looks like a pretty good building. Well, it's a pretty good building that's going to end up costing a lot of money to fix, because the building is in good shape with one noticeable exception, which is the foundation under the original, I don't have the date in front of me, 1840 or so, the original portion of the building. The concrete foundation under the newer parts of the building are fine. The stone and brick foundation under the existing part needs to be replaced. John Watson showed me, and some of you may have already seen, but could easily see a bulging area where the bricks are being pushed out. I'm seeing at least one nodding head on the east side of the building. And it's noticeable enough that I'm actually surprised that no one has flagged that particular item. We then proceeded, based on the visual inspection, to authorize John Wathney's firm to do a preliminary design study. The results of that design study, you don't see any text, but you will see the drawings that are part of this application. All throughout this, and I've been working very closely with Griffin Ryder, we advised John Wathney that, hey, there's a CPC deadline at the end of the month. We got to move fast on this. He was able to produce the drawings very, very quickly. I have very high confidence in the quality of his work, both in terms of what he saw, his analysis, and the drawings that he's produced. I think he's got the right credentials to do this work, and I think we really couldn't have done much better from the best I can tell to this point. He suggested to us that we should contact a Cape Cod contractor to try to price out his drawings. Griffin and I felt we simply did not have enough time to do so. So we asked John Wathney to use whatever multipliers and whatever construction manuals he could to give me an approximate price to bring to you folks. He did better than that. He was down on another job in the Cape. The contractor that he was working with agreed to provide a cost estimate based on those drawings. You have that information also as part of the application package. I have no idea if those numbers are good or not. They're certainly better than we could have gotten from just a book level information. As we proceed with this project, and I certainly hope that we will be able to proceed, we will be able to get much more firm numbers, but I think they're a good estimate to submit to you. The numbers that they gave me at the bottom of that page that I referred you to are three alternatives: just the foundation repair, taking advantage of the fact that we're lifting up the building and putting in 4-foot walls anyway, to dig out more of the area and do a full basement with 8-foot walls. Because of the costs that we were starting to see, we agreed that he would show me the unexcavated portion, just the existing basement, a partial dig out, which you can see in the plans, which is approximately half of the remaining area under the original part of the building, and a full basement dig out. Those prices came in at approximately $380,000, $600,000, and $840,000. I thought, okay, that's a lot of money. Then once our town engineer got involved, and to his credit said, you know, it's going to cost more than that. You'll see the standard contingencies provided: 20% for architectural and engineering design, and 25% for construction. Those numbers bring it up to $570,000, $900,000, and $1.2 million. My commission authorized me to seek the full amount. That's why you see the $1.2 million on the application form. I did not feel that I could come to you asking for that much money. We're asking for enough money that, combined with the article that has already been approved, will allow us to cover the cost of alternative number 2, the partial basement dig out. That's 900,000 less 115,000 remaining gives the balance that I'm at, the 785,000 that I've applied for. We want to do the full basement dig out. Sarah Korjeff at the Cape Cod Commission also gave me the names of 3 grants that we can go after, 2 of which look promising. These grants are very competitive. I have no idea if we can get some. If we are successful, I believe we can get somewhere in the range of $300,000 to $350,000. If so, that will allow us, if we get the money that we've asked for from you, to do the full basement dig out. If not, we'll consider other options. This is not going to be the only thing that we're going to have to ask for over the next few years. There continues to be peeling paint on the east side of the building. We have not been able to get to that, to do work on that, because there has been, the buildings department has identified that as lead paint. It has to be professionally removed and repainted. There will be, based on the library, that will be fairly expensive. There easily could be other costs as well. We originally came to you for 3 things. Finish off the existing basement, put in an elevator, and move the entrance to the north side of the building. This application includes the foundation work necessary to do the elevator. And that is all. Finishing whatever portion of the basement for climate control area for storage of documents, that will be an additional cost at some point. The cost to move the entrance to the north side of the building is relatively nominal. So David, I'm going to stop there, and I'm prepared to answer and to respond to any questions.
We're going to go to the board. Thank you, David. We're going to start with Donna.
Thank you. Thanks for the presentation. I do have a couple questions. So just to clarify on the 20 to 25% contingency, is that the cost of hiring an engineer to develop this project and to oversee it? Or is that the contingency cost on what you think ultimately the project will cost to do?
We multiplied the contractor's construction cost first by 20% to cover architectural and engineering costs, to do the full design, to do whatever related work is necessary to make this a complete project. So that's all before construction. The 25% construction contingency is a recognition that costs go up and that there are unknown factors that can arise.
Okay. And do these different options have affect the life expectancy of the project?
I would say no. I would say that we can save that building. I mean, if we don't do anything, we're not going to save the building. If we just do alternative 1, the building will be in sound structural condition.
Okay. When this is done, it appears that there will be a better accessibility factor. Is that an accurate statement? Absolutely. And the elevator will be able to be put in with any one of the 3 alternatives. Okay. So, you have on here that you expect the project to start in July of 2021 and finish in July of 2022. That's probably, in my experience, not realistic. But I would encourage, because this is a large amount of money and this is actually somewhat of a complicated bid process, that you consider coming to town meeting if this application is approved and move forward with a real price and having gone through the bid process. I think when we're talking about bigger money, it's helpful to know the actuals and not just the estimates. And just one other question, because you mentioned other projects, and I know that the CPC has been supportive of the library request. Do you have your own 5-year capital plan that is reviewed not just by the town, but also by the VAMC?
We do not at this point.
Okay. I think, and this, David's going to say I'm going outside the scope of the discussion, but he brought in the other projects, that's a tool that's really helpful, and also helps you to identify what can be fundraised, what can come from grants, what can come from the association, and then what the long-term requests to CPC are. Thank you.
Let me just reply quickly that I think there's a lot of that makes sense and that we would look into.
Okay, Dottie, you're all set. Thank you. Robert.
Thank you. The bulge in the wall that is being caused by the foundation, will that be corrected in this round, or would that have to be waited for until you decide to do the exterior?
That would be corrected as part of the foundation work.
Okay. Do you know if you're going to run into issues where shingles will have to be, or the siding would have to be replaced? Because once you move things back in place, things tend to fall apart.
Let me just say that as part of the contract with the structural engineer, we did arrange for the possibility of him answering your questions directly.
Mm-hmm.
I was told there was a 5-minute presentation tonight, and it was also very quickly, so I didn't know I could get him that quickly. But
okay,
within the next couple of months, we could arrange for someone much more qualified than myself to be able to respond to that type of question.
Okay. And other areas that need to be, I think, more immediate attention are like the base of the columns and things. I mean, we could be waiting another 3-4 years for that. Is there something you can do temporarily to stabilize those?
I have not heard anyone say that those need the immediate attention that you're suggesting.
Okay, maybe they just look worse than they really are.
I think they look worse than they are structurally. That's my understanding.
Okay. And to clarify...
I'm sorry, may I jump back in, Bob?
Yeah.
I will note that if you look carefully at even the alternative 3, that he has made sure not to get too close to the area under those columns.
Right. Yeah. And again, talking about the possibility of grants. So your hope is that we choose selection 2 and fund that. But before you get done, you may be able to expand it to the full basement through grants. And how do you see the timing of that working?
Those applications, preliminary notices of interest are going to be due fairly soon. I can't give you an exact date tonight. I'm going to have to start working on that. At least one of those grants requires a match. So we can apply without the match being in place, but I would have to prove that the match is in place by town meeting vote by the time the grant would come through. So there's an overlapping time frame.
Okay. I think that's it for me.
Okay. Mary.
So David, I just have one question with respect to, I know you had mentioned it and I missed the number. How much money do you have left from the last round 2 years ago? It was, I believe you said start with the foundation and go from there.
Right. The that amount was $130,000. 2 phases of the structural engineer's work will cost us just under $15,000. That'll leave us $115,000.
Okay.
Mary, you all set?
I'm all set.
Okay, John,
Yeah, hi. This looks like pretty thorough work. Maybe more detail will be forthcoming. It sounds like a good idea to make the engineer available at some point in the future for more detailed questions. But I have sort of a broader question here, which is, it appears to me from the results of this study and what you're saying about future needs, that potentially you're going to be wanting to invest several $1 million into that building. So I'd just like you to tell us what your view is of the significance of that building to the town of Harwich. And I know, aside from the obvious historical significance, is there a larger picture here that this fits into that taxpayers can keep in mind when they're asked to approve a substantial amount of money to fix the foundation?
Well, I think the historical significance is probably enough. And you've got at least two of your co-board members who could comment even better than I could on that. But this is one of the most important buildings within the historic district, and it should be preserved. It is currently being used as what I would describe as a relatively low-key museum. Some additional energy has been provided by the Kroll Barn, and of course this year not too much happened. And I will also note that the current director of the Historical Society, her name is on the screen here, so I believe Marie has also joined us and can answer some questions. But she's working with an aging group of people, and there are so many upside possibilities of what could be used in the area of the historic part of town. And this building is where it can take place. So between the building itself, the Kroll Barn, which has drawn a lot of interest, the use of the property right across the way for the farmers market, this is a real anchor for this part of Harwich Center. And we've done some with the building now, and we can do even more.
John, are you all set?
I am, thank you.
Okay, Joe.
Thank you. So I'm going to ask you some very rudimentary questions. I apologize for that. And I'm not new to the town, but I'm new to some of these historicals pieces. And very easy question is, can I get into that building? Are there hours, I assume, or how does that work?
Well, it's complicated by COVID, but I'm pretty sure that you can get into the building, yes, with proper arrangement. It's closed to the public, but I'm sure arrangements can be made.
Yeah, I have to back up. I'm very impressed how you put together in a very short period of time, by the way, to get in front of this group. But the year that it was built, I'm sure it's in here somewhere, but I had a busy day. What, do you know?
It slipped my mind. I think it's about 1840.
Okay.
1844.
Oh, very nice, man. Nice job. And the elevator. Everyone's talking about the elevator. What's the elevator? Where is it? What's it going to do? It seems like it's okay.
Right now, the only way to get up to the second floor exhibits is through a chairlift, which is what you find in a residential type of location.
Yeah.
This will allow.
So, yeah. So we're doing ADA stuff. That's perfect. So, and then the grants, I heard multiple things and people saying that, are all those grants matchable, required to be matchable that you've been looking at so far? I feel like you probably haven't got deep into them yet, but maybe you have. Are they all have to be matched?
Okay, there's 3 grants. One is for, does not look like it's going to work. There may be other grants, but I've been advised of 3. Of the other 2, I've only been looking into these for about 1 week now.
Yeah,
And
I can tell.
One of them is a 1-to-1 match. The other one, I don't know.
Okay. So you're asking about, I think it's 765 here, right? So that would put you right in the middle of all 3 of these different proposals, approximately. And John's point, and you have 115,000 left. So to John's point, well, what I heard from you was that the alternative 1 would secure the building for now. Is that what you said in terms of foundation work?
As a minimum, yes, it would.
Okay. But eventually we're going to have to get to alternative 3 to really make this thing right so it doesn't fall in on one side.
No.
No?
Structurally, everything that needs to be done will be accomplished under alternative number 1.
Nice.
And pardon my language, but I'm going to call that the cheapskate approach. That absolutely would accomplish the minimum that needs to be done. The town has extensive historic artifacts, documents, and so forth. We would benefit greatly by having additional basement area in that building, and now is the easiest time to do that.
Seasoned and weathered correctly so that they would last there. Oh, I see what you're saying. Okay.
Yep.
Yeah, I'm good, Dave. I have more questions, but it's a lot of information, but I'm all set. Thank you.
Okay, Kathy.
Yeah, could you bring us back to the engineering study and maybe talk about a little about what contributed to the demise of the foundation other than age?
I have no idea. I assume it's age.
There wasn't anything in the report about water damage or gutters or roofs or anything?
When we did the study about 2 or 3 weeks ago, it was a visual inspection of the entire building. That visual inspection did not identify the bulging area of bricks. So I would guess, and Bob, if you know anything to the contrary, jump in, but I would guess that that has gotten worse within the last 2 years.
The bulging area.
Say again?
I said the bulging area has gotten
Yes.
worse. Is that what you're saying?
That's my assumption, because it was not flagged the last when we had the architect look at this 2 or 3 years ago.
Okay. Well, we don't know what any other contributing factors to the, the crumbling, adding to the crumbling foundation.
I'm aware of age. I'm not aware of any water issues that would have caused it. You could ask the same question to Sean Libby, who is more directly knowledgeable of the building and has been here for several years.
Okay. Do we have access to the engineering study?
Absolutely. You have all of it that is currently available in my application packet to you. So you've got all the drawings there.
So the drawings.
He has not done any text yet. There has not been time to do that yet.
All right. That's it.
Thank you, Kathy. All right, that completes the board members, except myself. So I want to make the following statement to the board members. I would highly recommend that you make an appointment to go in and look at the facility and what we're talking about. Again, this is my 3rd time in the building to date, and it stuns me that the volunteers have to do what they have to do in that area. As far as, I don't have an engineering stamp after my name, but I can certainly see, as I'm sure you all will, when you visit, what goes up. I have a little more basic question for you, David. other than what it says. The 2019 Article 41, you said there was 115 in the remaining balance. I haven't pulled up the article yet, so I haven't read it, but maybe one of the board members has. That money for a specific task that can be tied in to this application, so that money can be used as an offset. I don't know the answer to that question. I have to read the legalese of the article, but I'm skeptical. So that's what we look at going forward. Go ahead, John.
David?
No, I didn't have anything to say.
Mary.
So David, I seem to recall that when we put that article forward, that we had started with engineering. It had to first be used for engineering and to fix the foundation. And then if there was money left over in that account, then it could be used to deal with the paint and the water damage, and to make the outside wrap of the building secure from water. So I think, as long as it's going to structural foundation stuff, I think David Fitz is probably correct that it could be used towards the greater project, because I think that's how we set it up. I'd have to double check it too, but that's what I recall from the way we structured that approval.
And if I may.
Mary, I understand exactly what you're saying. The problem is we had attributed other items to that cost. So is there a way to factor out the engineering part of what that particular article would be? That's my question. Donna, go ahead.
I think we actually said that it had to be engineering first and fix the foundation. And only if that was sound, then the paint and the water they could work on. I thought we prioritized it in that sense. I would double check it again myself, but that's my recollection.
Okay.
So I happen to have the May 2019 Warren, why you don't want to know. And it says a sufficient sum of money to fund first a structural engineering study pertaining to the foundation of the building. Second, to be used to make said foundation structurally sound. And third, once both of the above are completed, to be used to restore and preserve the outer shell of the building and or protect the building from further damage due to water and dampness, including any appurtenant interior work. Any funds left unspent are to be returned to the Community Preservation Act Historic Preservation Reserve and to act fully thereon.
So again, to the board, based on that information, does that mean we can allocate the entire amount to the engineering study as an offset? John, what are your thoughts?
Well, that's not necessary, right? I mean, the engineering study is only a small fraction of that. I'm not sure what question you're asking.
Well, they're using a portion of the money from that article.
Yeah.
Within this article to subsidize what they need to get to from A to B.
I can offer more if you would like to hear from.
Go ahead, David.
We've done the preliminary engineering study out of our existing money. It's now clear that the improvements are going to be extensive. We have to do final engineering yet. Final engineering is part of that 20% of A&E. It seems to me that's directly related both to the previous article and to what we're asking for now. One of you suggested that we try to have real costs by town meeting. The only way to do that is to proceed with final engineering under the 20% A&E costs and to have a good portion of that work done prior to town meeting. And I believe that's all fundable under the 2018 article.
Okay, questions for the members. Joe?
So the final engineering that you're talking about, Dave, is that, you think that'll skew the numbers drastically?
Wish I knew.
Huh?
I wish I knew.
Okay.
John?
Yeah, well, I was just looking at the article and listening to what Donna said, and it seems, I mean, I would be perfectly comfortable, based on what the article says, to spend whatever funds are required out of the 2019 article for an engineering study. And whatever remains clearly could be put toward repairing the foundation. I don't see any problem. I mean, those are the two things we're talking about: an engineering study and actual contract work on repairing the foundation. Both of those things appear to me to be covered in the 2019 article. So I don't see a problem.
Mary?
David, so I tend to agree. I think the town can use the full remainder of the 115 from the prior article, plus whatever we give them now to make the foundation structurally sound, because making the foundation structurally sound was the primary requirement in that earlier article. So I wouldn't have any issue with that at all.
Thank you, Mary. Donna?
I agree with the assessment that the money could be used for further engineering. It sounds like the engineering study that was done, and I think everybody on the committee would appreciate the full report when it's finished. But it sounds like it's preliminary. Now that you know that it's going to be over $300,000, you have to go through a process to hire an engineer. But I believe that, you know, based on what this article says, it could be used to kind of keep this project going, you know, pending a subsequent town meeting vote for further funds.
Thank you, Donna. Kathy?
Good.
Okay, are there any more questions from the board members? All right, just one more thing I have. I wish that the application had been broken up into a phased project because there are going to be multiple stages to repairing and bringing that building forward. And I'd like to remind everybody, including the listening public right now, that the CPC land bank will be paid in 2024. So at that point, the town has the ability to either continue within the CPC, change the percentage of the CPC monies. It's going to be interesting at that point what the selectmen choose to do. So I would like everybody to just be aware of that. And I've said enough. David, thank you very much for coming. We appreciate it. And we, in all probability, will be calling on you again.
Okay. Thank you very much, everyone.
Thank you.
Okay, Jan. Who's up?
Paul, can you hear us? Paul is having difficulty hearing us. He still can't hear us. Okay.
Jan, this is Mary. I just sent him a message and said he might need to dial in on his telephone. I don't know if he's going to get it.
Okay, hold on one sec. Go away, go away.
Me?
No, you know I talk to everything. I talk to any machine I can. Hold on, I want to give him the telephone number.
I guess I'm used to being told to go away. John, you're muted. John Ketchum, give you
Just a wisecrack. I was just telling Jan she's going to have to start to worry when the machines start talking back.
Yeah, I know. Well, I won't worry. I'll just ignore them like they've always ignored me when I've yelled at them.
I'm back.
Yeah.
Had to leave and come back.
Oh, okay.
Let's do it that way. Sorry about that, guys.
Let's go, okay. Paul, you have the floor.
Thank you. Appreciate it, Mr. Chairman. Fellow CPC members, I'm back again from the Bikeways Committee here to discuss the application to install the 6th bike crossing on Depot Road. I'm asking for $15,000 this year. Last year, I asked for 27. But I had Griffin and Sean take a look at the area before I made this presentation, and we don't need the warning beam, the 2 warning beacons, because it's such a straight road. So we only need the 2 warning lights themselves. So based on that, you know, it's I'm only asking for $15,000 this year. And of course, our goal is always to improve bicycle safety, enhance bicycle riding on all the trails. One thing to note, and I don't know, I just picked this up from the last conversation. I don't know if we can cross various years, but the lights that are going to be installed within a week on Depot Street is going to have a positive $13,000, an estimate of $13,000 that I'm going to be giving back to you, because 27 was approved, but those lights also did not require any warning beacons. So I don't know if that can play a factor into it or not, but I thought I'd put it out for discussion. Of course, you know, we received recommendations from the Harwich Safety Committee, Link from DPW, Griffin, of course, and also Ed McManus, our selectman. You'll find all of these emails and everything at the back end of your, and pictures that I've also sent at the back end of the application. You know, you've granted us approval for 5 of these lights in the past, and I'm looking for your approval for this one today. Yeah, that's about it.
Okay, thank you, sir. We'll start with Joe.
Thank you. I have no questions about that one. I know where it is, and I ride the bike trail the entire season I can. Paul, just very quickly, don't get mad at me, but off topic, but it's part of the topic, is on Great West, going towards where all the sand and gravel stuff is, and you take the right to go to the dump in Dennis, right there. I like these warning lights, I guess. I think they're really awesome. And that's a very busy, that's where all those trucks are running up and down on Great West. And I didn't know if that was part of your plan in the future. I didn't know. So I'm sorry, I didn't have a question on the current one, but.
Well, that happens to be in Dennis.
Oh, okay. That's why it's not been done. Okay, thank you.
Exactly. Sorry about that.
Oh, good. Oh, good now. No, I didn't know it was on the other side. Okay, thanks. I'm good, Dave.
Also, Joe.
Yeah, I totally agree. Somebody should get to Dennis and obviously put a set of lights there too.
Okay, Kathy. Kathy, you have to unmute.
I said I have a question, but I've forgotten it, so move on.
Okay, Donna.
Okay, thank you. Yeah, I guess, Paul, hi, nice to see you again. I see on your application, I think this is the question that you were asking, that your estimated start date is April 1st of 2021, which is before town meeting, and that you expect to complete it by June 1st. So I think you're going to have to revisit that plan. I mean, the town engineer is not here tonight. I get the concept of a straightaway street, but I am a fan of the warning beacons, in part because we have so many people who come to the Cape that are not familiar with our roads or not familiar where the bike crossings are. So, I mean, I would like to see, some kind of supporting data to that, not for this application, but I do think it's important. And then in terms of the installation, that will be done by Public Works?
Yes.
Okay. And how many more lights do you have to do after this one?
After this one, there are 4 more.
4 more, okay. I think it would be great if you added that to your list of CPC funds used or, potential use so that, the public's aware of where the other 4 proposed are and that there are more to come. Otherwise, I am supportive of bike lights in general, particularly because there's such high usage of the bike trails now more than ever. And there are a lot of people here who are not familiar with our roads.
Mm-hmm.
Thank you.
Yes. And my only question would be is what would I do? Resubmit this package to the CPC committee to add, Route 124, Oak Street, Headwaters, and Lothrop?
At the present time, my recommendation is you have a project in front of us, to go with that project.
Okay.
Anything else, Donna?
No, that's it. Thank you.
Mary.
Nothing for me, David.
Robert. Thank you, Mary.
Nothing from me either.
John.
I have no further questions.
Okay. Paul, thank you very much for that presentation.
Thank you.
Next.
Me again?
Yes.
I'm back again. Here today, something, well, maybe it's not a little bit different, but the application that we put in was to install a granite border marker on the OCRT. That's the Old Colony Rail Trail at the Harwich and Chatham line. And if any of you have biked the OCRT, you never know where you're at exactly. Are you in Chatham or not? I mean, we've had some things that, we see like erosion, for instance. Well, I'll give you one example this year. And, and I got to Link, but I wasn't sure if I was in Chatham or Harwich. I mean, he fixed it and it was in Harwich. However, I just wanted to bring that up. Basically, other towns like Orleans and Brewster and Falmouth have these town markers available. And this request is being done like in coordination with the Chatham Bikeways Committee so that they're willing to pay for half the cost and they're willing to procure it, coordinate it, check it out, get it done. and then coordinate the effort with Link to make sure that they install this marker at the proper place. I think something I didn't mention at the beginning, you know, we're looking for half the amount of money, which is $1,000, and Chatham would, and it's not to exceed that. So, you know, Link totally agrees with it. Obviously, the Chatham Bikeways Committee agrees with it. And I think it's just a good thing to have. You know, it's a location orientation thing that, God forbid, there was a medical or something. Where am I on that trail? So again, looking for your approval on this. And if you have any questions, I'd be glad to try to answer them.
Okay, I will open it up. Let's start with Mary this time.
Hey, David, thanks. I'm totally supportive of having a boundary marker put in. I think it makes sense for everyone, for us and for Chatham. And if Chatham's going to split the cost, then I think it's a no-brainer.
Thank you.
All set, Mary. Donna.
Okay, sorry about that. I think it's great to see the towns working together. It's a very small amount of funds that you're requesting. Feels like it could be done quicker with existing money, but again, you know, you wouldn't be able to start in April and complete it by June because it would be subject to a town meeting vote. I think it's a good project. Thank you.
Donna, frankly, I missed that. Good catch.
I did too.
Kathy.
Well, I think that, you know, given the COVID situation that we've dealt with this year, going into next year and moving forward, that there's been such an increase in passive and active recreation that it's absolutely worthwhile. That's it.
Thank you.
Robert.
It's very straightforward to me. I don't have any other questions.
Thanks.
John.
Yeah, it seems like a good idea to me. It's small money. I just have a comment, which is I believe that at that spot, Red River is still marks the boundary between Chatham and Harwich. It would be really nice if there was a recognition somewhere there. You can't put it on a granite post, but it would be nice if that were marked as well. I have gone down there looking for the Red River, and it's not very apparent there, but it does go under the bike path. Other than that, it sounds like a great idea to me.
Thanks, John.
No.
I'm good, David. I'm very good with this one. Thank you.
Okay. Thank you very much for your presentation.
Thank you all. Have a good night.
All right. Jan, next.
That's it for presentations.
Okay.
So the old business comes in where I just wanted to make sure that everyone received Eric's from the rec department, the electrical engineering report. That's what it was. Everyone got it, yes?
Yes.
Yes? Okay.
The yeses except for Joe.
No, yes. You sent that on you sent a lot of emails out, Jan Moore. Did you send that on an email, I assume, right? So
yes.
How old is that?
I think he sent it to me the next day, so it would have been Friday.
Thank you.
I'll resend it to you. How's that?
That's fine. I'm
It was
sure I
small
have it.
enough, it shouldn't have, the size of the PDF wasn't large, so it shouldn't have gotten clogged in your email system.
No, no.
I'll just resend it.
No, when I put you and Laura up, it shows multiple emails, so I'm good.
I know. That's all right. Send a lot.
Okay, that takes care of that. Now,
Nope. May I
Go
say
ahead,
something?
Bob, go ahead.
Yeah.
You got it.
I did take a look at that, and one of the things I tried to do is reconcile from the report on why the increases were so big to ask for 100,000. And it came back when I started looking at the data or his numbers don't add up as far as the total project cost. And I didn't know if he should look at that, or if you want me to explain why I think it might be off.
Go ahead, Rob, you got the floor.
So one of the things is the original proposal he sent with the original proposal is that the proposal for the White House field, it does include the scoreboard and all the work surrounding it. And I didn't know if he took that out because there's a separate article that's under process now for the scoreboard. And I can't help but feel maybe it was doubled up here in costs that he's asking for.
Okay. I will pass that information on. John.
Yeah, I looked at the report as well, and I had the same question that Bob had about the scoreboard. I saw that in there, and I couldn't make sense of that. I didn't add all the things up and come out with unmatching numbers, but I also I had a couple other questions for Eric, and based on, I was doing the numbers about the power draw, about the old system and the new system, and trying to reconcile the, I think Eric said that, with the LEDs, there would be an 80 to 90% savings in electricity because of the change to LEDs, which is sort of a conventional number for if you replace, an incandescent bulb in your house with an LED, that's kind of the right numbers. But the technology they use for the lighting of big public spaces is completely different. It's metal halide, and those things themselves they have their problems, but they're way more efficient than incandescent lights. They're not quite as efficient as LEDs, but I looked at the numbers in the report, and actually what they're doing in Brooks Park, they're going to be using 2 or 3 times as much power as the existing system. Undoubtedly because they're going to have a lot more light, but it's not less power. And looking at the numbers, the problem, so that's true for Brooks Park. In White House Field, it's like, just based on the raw numbers given there, it's like 65% of the existing system when all the lights work in the existing system, which apparently isn't very often. So because of that, and I think I understood all that correctly, but I'm not entirely sure. So I want to ask the question for whoever, the town engineer or the people who prepared the engineering report. I'd like them to give a full accounting of the power consumption of the existing systems as designed, because there's other overheads besides just the lamps. Power consumption of the existing systems and the expected power consumption of the new systems. It should be easy for the engineers who are looking at the design of this, but it isn't apparent there anywhere, and I think that should be a good bit of information that we need in order to assess this. It's a lot of money that is being spent.
Yeah. Okay, first thing, Robert, can I make a request to you before you go any further?
Yeah.
Can I make a request to you? Would you send Eric an email with your concerns?
Yes.
Second, just for both of you and for the rest of the board, I had an extensive talk with the acting town administrator. He is going to be requested to come before you along with the engineer in January to answer further questions from the board before we vote, as we've done every year when we've had questions about particular projects. So to John Ketchum, would you please email Eric questions of your concern? So when those folks are scheduled to come before us, they can publicly answer the questions that need to be answered.
Sure. I'd be happy to do that. The email's already written.
I love engineers. Okay. Go ahead, Bob.
Yeah, just so if I did my numbers correct and came up with the total project cost, they'd only need like $32,000 to complete the project. But again, we got to get the real numbers from Eric.
Okay. Joe, you have a question? You're all set. Kathy.
I had a question.
All set.
David.
Donna.
I'm glad to hear that they're going to come before us because I did read through the engineering report and I had some questions as well. But I also think that we should consider the engineering report being added to the website. I mean, I think when you're talking about, over $1 million in lighting for 2 fields, and if we're going to discuss it further in January, that the public should be able to see what it is we're talking about.
Understood. John. I'm leaning on this. Is that possible to put that document at the website?
Absolutely. I can just add it. I can just add it in, I guess. Yes, I can upload it to the same place where all the other ones are, and make it.
Does that meet your concerns, Donna?
Yes, it does. I think I would just, when you upload it, make it clear that it's for both Brooksfield and for the Mariners Field, because because they're 2 separate applications.
Okay, so not to go too deep in the weeds here, but when I put the stuff up on the website, I didn't want to clutter the left pane where there are links to various relevant things on the CPC webpage with 16 links to 16 different proposals. So I put them on a separate page with 1 link to that page. So I can put the link to the report on that page with the other proposals, or I can put it in that more up front in that left pane on the main page there.
No, I think it should go with the proposals.
Okay, all right, that's fine. That's easy.
Okay.
I'll do that.
Okay, so because I don't speak the nomenclature, for a layperson, is this all going to be readily accessible to the taxpayers if they want to go in and click on the link? Is it there, or will they be able to see it?
As soon as, when they land on the CPC webpage on the town website, there are a couple of different links to another page that has the whole list of proposals, and they can click on any of those links and get the actual PDF file and read it or download it or whatever. So, yeah, I would say it's accessible as long as people know how to get to the CPC webpage to begin with.
Fair enough. Donna?
Yeah, I would just say when we make our, CPC article video, we just let people know where to go for information. Just every time we meet, we tell them where to go for the backup information of the discussions we're having.
Okay, again, Donna, anything else? Mary?
I'm good, David.
Don? Robert? Kathy?
I'm good.
Joe? Okay, and I'm all set. Jan, the next set of documents will be on the
Right,
agenda.
so our next meeting is December 3rd. It's the first Thursday in December. And we've already invited Robin Kelly from the cemetery department to do a presentation on her 3 cemetery projects. And also Patrick will be doing his presentation for the hydration stations in recreational facilities in Harwich. And that's what's on the agenda.
Sorry, is that a 6 o'clock, Jan? Is that 6:30?
6:30.
6:30, okay.
6:30. That'll be our last 6:30 in December that I know of. The other 2 will be the following 2 Thursdays, and those will both be set for 6 p.m.
Is that all okay with the board member stands? Donna?
Yes.
Okay, Mary?
Yep, fine with me.
Alrighty. Kathy?
Yep.
Alrighty. So, is there anything else we need to discuss tonight? Anything the board members want on the agenda, next agenda? Hearing none, can I have a roll call to close the meeting? Can I have a motion, please?
Motion to close the meeting?
Second.
Roll call vote. All those in favor? John?
Aye.
Joe?
Aye.
Kathy?
Aye.
Robert?
Aye.
Mary?
Aye.
Donna?
Aye.
And David, aye. Thank you very much, folks.
Aye.
Next meeting.
Good night, all.
This conference is no longer being recorded.